And we are live for a new episode of the Electrek Podcast. I'm Fred Lambert, your host, and I'm joined by Seth Winshaw. How are you doing this week, Seth?
I'm good, and we have a sponsor this week called TestMat. I've got it right here.
Oh,
for the YouTubers. It's a bed that you put in your Tesla Model 3 and now Model Y, and with the code Electrek, we'll talk about more later. You get $20 off. So we're excited. Thanks for sponsoring TestMat.
Thanks, TestMat. All right, now let's jump right in because there is so much news this week. Starting with, of course, we're going to do the earnings real quick. The Tesla reported early on Wednesday, and very, very strong results, financially speaking. They crushed the expectations. We reported in our preview post earlier this week that Wall Street was expecting just over $5 billion in revenue and a loss of 14 cents per share. Now, we were a little bit skeptical of why Wall Street was still expecting a loss because of what we reported at the end of last quarter with Elon talking about breaking even. And then after the end of the quarter, he was dunking on the shorts left and right. So we're like, pretty sure they secured that profit. And sure they did. And a lot more than that. The gap profit was 50 cents per share. So not the giant profit, but a little bit more than breaking even, maybe. Like I would say that this is around the range where you're a little bit more than breaking even. And that's even more if you do the non-gap profit without the, I think the big difference there is the stock compensation plan, which of course was a little bit bigger this quarter because of Elon's CEO compensation plan. That was basically over $400 million in net income for Tesla. In terms of revenue, that was also a decent beat here. Revenue was, where am I missing? $6 billion, just over $6 billion. So almost $1 billion more than the Wall Street consensus here. So I think crushing the expectation is an appropriate headline here. I'm not clickbaiting anyone, am I?
No. It's interesting though. Tesla's now worth $300 billion and on $6 billion for the quarter. So that means they're what, 50 times quarterly revenue.
To be fair, the stock went down a little bit. Now it's not worth 300 billion anymore.
Yeah.
But all right. So one thing to be fair, so that the shorts don't go crazy again.
Let them go crazy.
Yeah. One of the main reason why Tesla did deliver a profit this quarter. Of course, the deliveries weren't that bad for amid the pandemic. That's good. But the big difference was the regulatory credits here. Tesla sold over $400 million in regulatory credits. So that definitely helped them make a profit. And we have to assume that the big increase of that is due to Fiat Chrysler, FCA. They did that deal with Tesla in Europe. Since they are too slow to bring up their own electric vehicle program to market, they made a deal with Tesla to pool their cells together in Europe so that Tesla, which only sells electric vehicles, so don't actually needs the credits to sell any fossil fuel powered cars, they by pooling their cells together, FC avoids any fine related to not selling electric cars. So, and that's some significant amount. I mean, I think over 2 years, the contract that they signed is worth something like $2 billion. So
that's crazy. Like they can't put out any electric vehicles. I mean, Fiat Chrysler's got the Fiat 500e, which they said they lose money on. They've got the Chrysler minivan, Pacifica that's, hybrid, but it's got to hurt. It's got to hurt. Like I'd almost rather pay a fine to the government than pay my competitor. It's just,
I think they're obligated to do that just for shareholders, reason. Like if they can avoid to pay more, right, they should do. They have to do it. Yeah.
Right. But man, that's got to hurt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they sure do. So I mean, Tesla now again added to his cash position. They have more money on hand than they never had before, like $8.5 billion. So they feel confident about the future. But now let's dive into some of the most interesting pieces of news that came out of the earning reports. First off, we got a good look at the Model Y production line in Shanghai, which this is one of the most important new production capacity that Tesla is going to deploy in the near future. Model Y is expected to be a big hit in China, and since it's only going to be launched in China once Tesla produce them in China, this piece of equipment here extremely critical. Tesla did release a bunch of new pictures of it. You have a giant press here that's going to make the body of the Model Y. You have a bunch of robots they're still in their plastic and everything, so you can see it's not quite ready. But they are talking about production starting in 2021. Of course, deliveries, starting in 2021, because we've heard from previous comment from Tesla's executive team in China that they are aiming in Q4 to start production, but it might take a little bit of time to ramp up, and then deliveries start probably early 2021. So important distinction here. So that was one of the interesting piece of information that came out. Then they confirmed that at first, it was just in the shareholders letter that they confirmed the US Gigafactory site has been selected. But then once the conference call started, Elon confirmed that it was actually Austin. Of course, if you've been following Electrek, we've known that since May. We've been reporting it since May, but it has finally been made official. So they exercised their option to buy the piece of land, and they are starting work on it for Tesla itself. I mean, as we previously reported, the original owner already started doing some things to prepare for the handover, if you will, because they do have a concrete plant operation there that they're gonna have to shut down, and then Tesla's gonna build its own thing. But also, there's plenty of room to build on that piece of land. It's a 2,000-acre piece of land, and the concrete, the concrete plant only takes a small part of it. So there's a lot of greeneries around. And of course, there's a part of it that's on the Colorado River, which brings us actually to another piece of information that was interesting that Elon talked about. He called it an ecological paradise that's going to be Gigafactory Austin. Whoops, sorry, I just pressed the wrong button here. So let me quote him here. It's about 2,000 acres, and we're going to make it a factory that is going to be stunning. It's right on the Colorado River, and we're actually going to have a boardwalk where there'll be a hiking/biking trail. It's going to basically be an ecological paradise, birds in the trees, butterflies, fish in the stream, and it will be open to the public as well, so not closed and only to Tesla. So if anyone is interested in working in Giga Texas with engineering and production, whatever the case may be, please let us know. So of course, it's a kind of a sales pitch to get some workforce going there, which I don't think is going to be a problem. I'm thinking a lot of people are going to work there, but Tesla is of course going to want the best people possible. So they're going to want a high volume of applicants and try to sort through the best ones. But yeah, exciting project that they have here. Well, of course, I'm a little bit skeptical about the whole thing. Elon has made some similar comments before about other production facilities at Tesla that they're going to be like so incredible that they're going to be like an attraction, and they're going to be some, he called it like manufacturing tourism almost. And yes, I mean at Fremont, Tesla owners can get tours, and I know that they open up tours sometimes at Gigafactory. I know that you went to one, I think, in the Gigafactory Nevada I'm talking about here.
Yep. It definitely wasn't an ecological paradise, though.
No, right? So yeah, like I'm sure that's the plan right now, but it's not the priority. Probably like the priority, from what I'm hearing from our sources since back in mid, priority is to get a GA Model Y line up and running as soon as possible there. So the boardwalk and stuff like that might be something that come on later on. And then just last week, Elon released the Gigafactory Berlin rendering, and of course that's also like beautiful looking and everything, but we saw something very similar with Gigafactory Nevada, and that hasn't happened yet. But Shanghai is looking good, and that's the most recent and the fastest going one. So I mean, it's still definitely a construction site and it looks sturdy and everything, but it's taking shape. You could see you could see the original render taking shape in it, so that's hopeful. So hopefully the Gigafactory Berlin and Gigafactory Austin are going to be more similar to that.
I remember Elon talking about the Model Y having like a unibody, or instead of having more pieces, it's going to have fewer pieces. Was that Berlin or was that going to be Shanghai?
Well, I think he specifically mentioned Berlin, but I would assume that every other manufacturing facility going forward is going to have that new capacity.
So maybe we'll see that in Shanghai first.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it definitely looks like Shanghai is going to have Model Y production before Berlin. Speaking on manufacturing production at Austin, we also got more information about what's going to be built there. We already, of course, knew about Model Y and Cybertruck. But now you also have the Model 3 in there, so it's going to be Model 3 and Model Y for eastern half of North America. So he clarified the whole plan, basically. California, and he kept talking about California in general, and didn't really mention Fremont, but I assume that a lot of it's going to be in Fremont. It's going to do Model 3, Model Y for the western half of the U.S. Model 3, Model Y for the eastern half is going to be produced in Austin. Then Cybertruck, which was the original reason for the new factory. I mean, at first Elon was calling it the Cybertruck Gigafactory. I don't think that's the case anymore, since, as we're learning now, there's going to be a lot more vehicle programs produced there.
When is Cybertruck due? Cybertruck is due at the end of 2021?
Yeah, correct.
Wow. Well, that doesn't sound realistic anymore. But also, like with Rivian's news, which I'm getting ahead of myself there.
Yeah.
Like they might, well, whatever. It just seems like they really need to get on their horse if they're going to get that Cybertruck out. Yeah,
but at the same time, we've seen them build quite fast now. I mean, China is not the U.S., but I mean Texas. Like the governor just today said why Elon chose Texas is because of the freedom there, and they're going to be able to move faster and everything. So I don't know if by the end of the year they have the structure there, which I don't know if it's possible, but not impossible. They have the structure and they start working, of course, on Model Y assembly line, but in parallel they start working for the production of Cybertruck. They technically have a full year of working under a shell to actually build a production line there. So I don't think it's impossible, but yeah, it's like anything with Tesla's timelines, it's always aggressive. Tesla Semi, Elon, at first in the original call, I didn't even hear it. He said it so fast, but listening to it again, you can actually hear him mentioning that Tesla Semi is going to be produced at Gigafactory Austin. Then Jérôme Guillén, the president of automotive at Tesla and the head of the program, the Tesla Semi program, give some more color on the plan, saying that indeed the production is going to start next year. So then that means production of Model Y, Cybertruck, and Tesla Semi are all going to be deployed at the same time at Austin. So that's a lot of work, crazy amount of capacity to be deployed. He talked about increasing the test fleet, though, too. They said they keep adding more vehicles to test the reliability of the Tesla Semi. And so I think, my understanding is that they're going to build a few more in Nevada of that truck, and but then the volume production is going to be in Austin. So we've heard before that they were deploying some production capacity in Gigafactory for the Tesla Semi. So I think that still be the case. But then the actual assembly and everything is likely going to happen in Austin.
I'm surprised Gigafactory Nevada has stopped growing. I thought it would be filled out by now.
I'm hoping to have a good announcement on that in September at the battery day. That's my hope right now.
Right, that makes sense.
They're gonna. I mean, I doubt that Tesla can build their own cells there. I'd be surprised if that's the case because of the deal they have with Panasonic there. But Elon even said it again on the call on Wednesday that they are likely going to expand their deal with Panasonic and LG and CATL and all the other battery manufacturers, because even though they are obviously planning to build their own cells, they're going to buy everything they can, even though they produce their own cell.
Right.
You just look at the product lineup at Tesla, and it is a battery cell hungry lineup that they have.
Right.
The Roadster, you got some kind of vague production timeline and location for the Roadster. Very vague. So Elon was sort of talking about the Tesla roadmap for products within the next 12 to 18 months. And then he mentioned the Roadster within that lineup. So you have to assume that he plans to Tesla to bring the Roadster to production within 12 to 18 months, which would put it in late 2021 or very early 2022, which is not too far from what we were expecting after he said that the Cybertruck would be a priority and everything. And then he also said that it's most likely going to be built in California. Again, he didn't mention Fremont, but I would assume Fremont. But I mean, the Roadster is going to be so low volume. I mean, maybe not that much low volume. What do you think?
I'm telling you, if they could make like a $80,000 version, or not even that, maybe a $50,000 one, like
a Miata. You want like a electric Miata, the Roadster?
I kind of want a Miata, but like what I don't I mean, if I'm a Roadster buyer, I don't necessarily need 600 miles of range, although everybody's going to love that, and that has to do with the power. But I also I would like to just have a like a Roadster without crazy amounts of power costing $200,000. I think a $50,000 Roadster that had like a third the battery, less than half the range would do quite well. I don't know why that's
I'm sure they would, but let's stay with the current spec and price and everything. How big of a volume do you think that is at $200,000+?
I mean, that's a high-end Porsche price, right? That's like a 911 with all the trimmings, right?
Yeah,
or a 9.
But also it's like there's no equivalent to it on the market right now because it's also it's a 4-seater, and then you had like this SpaceX package thing on top of it. Well, that's not a 4-seater anymore, but just that long, like all the people that like the craziest cars, they were like,
right,
I want the car with the air thrusters on them.
Right, you got to have the air thrusters.
Yeah, so a bunch of people would buy it just for that. So I don't know. I think Tesla might be able to sell 1,000 a year, maybe.
Yeah, why not?
Because I'm comparing it to like how many like performance Model S, for example, they sell now. But then at the same time, they're gonna have the Plaid Model S that's gonna come out. So a lot of people's gonna buy that, and then they're gonna upgrade to the Roadster in 2022.
Right, exactly.
I think that's gonna happen this year. They're gonna release the Plaid. All the P100D owners and performance Model S owners are all gonna switch to the Plaid. Maybe not all, but like a bunch of them. And then in 2022, they're going to switch to the Roadster. So Tesla's going to just milk the high,
the high-end clientele.
Yeah, the high clientele of Tesla. And I think they can sell like 1,000 a year from that, which is like decent volume production for a $200,000 car. But yeah, this is apparently happening in California. Very excited about it. All right, another interesting. Oh yeah, Elon showed extreme confidence in his promise to have full self-driving feature complete by the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And he said why he has such high confidence is because he's currently testing an alpha build of the full self-driving system, and he says that he can. It's almost getting to the point where I can go from my house to work with no intervention, despite going through construction, and widely varying situations. I mean, that's impressive. Technically, I assume so. I assume that means he has like this feature complete, a very early version of this feature complete then in his car. Because I mean, we need to keep in mind that this whole feature complete thing is just that the car is going to try to drive itself on city street too, like it does on the highway right now with Navigate on Autopilot. It's basically extending Navigate on Autopilot to city street, because Navigate on Autopilot already works with a navigation system where you tell it where to go and it's going to try to bring you there, but only with auto steer being activated on the highways. So now you would bring that to the city street. So it's not that big of a leap. Like when you talk about it, but technically it's a giant leap to do, because of course city driving is way different than highway driving. But if you still require driver monitoring, then you can make as many mistakes as you can if you rely on the driver to correct them. So of course that makes it absolutely not full self-driving. But with Elon always adding this feature complete characterization, he's not lying because of that.
Yeah,
but
I would also say that the fact that it's figured out how to get from Elon's house to or his wherever he stays in the Bay Area to work is
maybe
kind of
he's
like
talking about LA.
oh yeah, he might be talking about LA. But to me, that kind of reminds me of when Apple came out with Apple Maps, and they were like, "Hey, the whole Bay Area, we got it covered. It's great." But there's different types of roads, different types of situations all over the U.S. And just because it works in one area that you're kind of focusing your energy on, where all the engineers live and all the beta testers are probably running around, doesn't mean it's going to translate to a totally different type of road in the rest of the U.S. And the roads are generally speaking pretty similar all over the U.S., but there are some definite nuances. Between California, I would say California roads are probably a little bit more difficult, generally speaking, than the rest of the U.S. But I think it's premature to kind of celebrate Elon making it from home to work as a victory there.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, Tesla's entire approach to self-driving is so that it's easily replicable in different areas.
Right.
But I do get your point still. I mean, if he's testing it on like getting 2 exits off the highway and then having to handle 1 traffic lights and 2 stoplights, like I'm not saying that's what he's doing, but putting some perspective into it, it wouldn't be the same as handling like roundabouts and things like that. Yeah, right. I was driving in Sonoma last weekend and I ran into like 4 roundabouts in a row, like just doing 2 roundabout, exiting, join the roundabout, exiting. And I'm like, what the hell was that? And
I love roundabouts.
I
love roundabouts.
I love them too, but
when they are everywhere.
Like when you don't know where you're going,
yeah,
and you have like 4 in a row, so the GPS is basically taking you to take the 3rd exit in the roundabout, take the 2nd exit in the roundabout, take the 1st exit is like so like, I think that's the 2nd one. I missed one, and then I was screwed because there was another roundabout right after I took one, so I had to go back and go on so it was like not ideal, but because you need to like really count the exit, like this one.
Right. But the nice thing is if you miss it, you just go around and go out again.
Yeah, but then if you're like, I thought this was the 2nd exit, but then because the 1st exit was so close to where I entered, I didn't see it, and like, oh, I actually took the wrong exit. Then you have to go back and turn around and go.
This sounds oddly specific here.
Yeah, well, I've never like I've been to plenty of roundabouts in my time, and I've never seen an area. I don't remember what it was. Was it in Sonoma, the town of Sonoma, or was it? Anyway, I was in the county of Sonoma, and there was like 4 in a row. It was a strange situation. But I was thinking, of course, I went through it and was thinking, okay, I'll do the car and does that. And I think maybe the car would be pretty good at doing that because like it actually knows exactly where which one to go through. So it's not thinking about that. So anyway.
Oh wait, so did I'm assuming the Model Y you had navigate on autopilot, right?
No, it didn't. It had a very basic.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. And this guy, I'm just sorry, is his business like to buy Teslas and put them on Turo?
I think so.
That's interesting.
Because I know he was buying another one, like he was getting a Model X to do just that with once again. So I don't know if it's his main gig, but he's definitely that like he buys the car for that. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Did he say he's making a lot of money? I mean, obviously you're a customer. He's not gonna.
Well, I can actually tell you exactly how much money he's making because I was just texting with Turo. If you want to know about it, I can tell you right now. They gave me some interesting statistic just yesterday. This is not a range, by the way. That's it's just I've been like that. So, well, the Model Y, we don't have statistic just yet, of course, because it was launched right now. But right now, as of 2020, there's over 10,000 Tesla vehicles on Turo. The Tesla vehicles are the 3rd most popular brand to search for. The top earning of all vehicles on the platform, the number 1 is the Model X. Number 3 is Model 3, and number 6 is Tesla. So Tesla has 3 vehicles in the top 6 highest earning vehicles on Turo. Well, actually, I can tell you Model Y. Model Y average earnings per month on Turo is $813, and people book it on average 8.3 days. So if you put a Model Y on Turo on average, of course, I'm sure that this varies greatly in different areas and everything, but average in the US, $800 a month for your car being out of your hands for just over 8 days. And it's all, so yeah, it's all pretty close. And the Model X, like I said, is the highest earning one of all vehicles on Turo, and it gets almost $1,000 a month on average. So you can actually cover your car payment with that.
I was just gonna say that's your car payment right there,
and you only lose it for just over a week.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess if you rent it out more than that, you get even more money.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's pretty impressive, actually. Like maybe that guy's onto something. He's got like, you said he's got like 6 Teslas or something.
I don't know how many cars he has on there. No, I could probably check it out.
I mean, at the end of a few years, you would have your cars paid off, and you would own a bunch of robo taxis.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people are thinking that that's the big kicker here. If you're confident as Elon Musk that Tesla's going to deliver FSDs on these cars, then go for it. Like, build yourself a fleet like that, and have it paid for to Turo. But at the same time, that guy didn't buy FSD on the car, so yeah. I mean, honestly, saying like, it doesn't make as much financial sense if I do buy FSDs, then I'm paying it per month and everything. But then if it does, Tesla does deliver it at some point. At the time they deliver it, you know that price is gonna skyrocket pretty quick.
Right. Speaking of that, so I don't know if we talked about it last week, but I'm getting my Model Y on Sunday in 2 days. With a $3,000 price reduction, I was like, screw it. I'm going to add the autopilot, the full self-driving before I get it, which is only $7,000, and then it's $8,000 if you order it after you get it, or it was that way.
At that point, yeah.
Now it's. So I pushed the button. It said $7,000. Then my receipt came and it said $8,000. So I called Tesla. I was like, "Hey, I don't want to pay $8,000. I want to pay $7,000." That's what the button said. And he's like, "No, it's." The guy on the phone was like, "No, it's $8,000 now." So I was like, "Screw it, take it off." Like, I don't want it. Like I said $7,000. So I'm now without $7,000. I'm now without full self driving, but I got my $8,000 back. So I get that full $3,000.
Oh, really?
Of money, but
I mean that's technically illegal. Like if they advertise it at that price, they have to give you that price. Even if I think it was probably a mistake though.
Yeah, it was a mistake for sure.
Yeah, but if it was saying that price, like they cannot charge you more than what they were saying, even though. Well, we reported on that Electrek that it was $8,000 at that point. So
and like they did refund my money. So
yeah, well, yeah. That was a problem at first when people were buying things and they weren't. Well, I guess it was through the app since you didn't get the car at that point. But yeah, we're gonna get into my Model Y experience. And if you just want to get to a few more items that were in the earnings real quick, mention of 2 new cars. So one of the questions Tesla Elon had on the call was future vehicles after the Cybertruck, and Elon tentatively mentioned 2 cars: a compact vehicle of some kind and probably a higher capacity vehicle of some kind. So Elon he said that those are the obvious things that we would do. But he said we need to focus on Model 3, Model Y, Cybertrucks, Tesla Semi for now, which all makes sense. But
so the hatchback. Right.
That's what I'm thinking now. Like I'm thinking, he said that possibly the obvious thing and everything. I think he's downplaying it a little bit here because, first of all, Cybertruck is coming officially late 2021, so Tesla's gonna have to work on something after that. They always do. So it's not that far out. See if they have a new vehicle program coming after then. They are in the early stages of that program now, and we already heard about the Chinese compact car that they're planning to do. They're already taking design submission for that. So, I mean, something is going on there for sure. And then he mentioned this higher capacity vehicle. And
what does that mean? Is that the bus?
Well, we just learned last month that from this California official in San Bernardino County that was working on the Boring Company. He said, that Tesla is building a 12-passenger van for the Boring Company. I mean, that's not a great source, to be honest. Like, we cannot, like, this is just a single source like that. It doesn't work directly with Tesla or the Boring Company. But it clearly did have connection at the Boring Company, because they did give them like a $50 million contract or something like that. So, and then Elon mentions that. And also, that was something that was mentioned all the way back in 2016 in the Tesla Master Plan Part 2. He did mention making like some kind of transit vehicle, a bus or something like that, a mini bus. So 2 + 2 = 4 in my book.
Right.
4. So I think he might be like downplaying the situation. And he started out the whole response with like, I don't want to make any official announcement here because we're gonna make it at product launches and everything. So
do you think it'll be like a platform where you could have like a Sprinter van, a bus, a bunch of stuff out of one thing?
Yeah, a cargo vehicle would be cool too, that you can just convert it, like just rip out the interior and have a cargo vehicle. Yeah, that would make a ton of sense, really. Other interesting thing that came out in the earnings: Tesla triple solar roof installations.
That doesn't surprise me at all. That they're really refining that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, the V3 looks like a winner product in my opinion, but let's temper down the like tripling from Q1 to Q2 here.
Right.
Probably Q1 was extremely low in the solar roof installation, so like Tesla is not releasing any numbers here, so it's not that big. And also from Q1 to Q2, overall solar deployment went way down to 27 kilowatts. So megawatts, sorry. 27 kilowatt would be like 4 installations.
Yeah.
But 27 megawatts. So yeah, maybe like 4,000 installation. But
was it just megawatts? Megawatts doesn't seem like a lot either. Was it?
Yeah, 27 megawatts.
All right.
It's I think it might be an all-time low since the acquisition of Solar City or something like that. It's extremely low. And that's not just solar roof, of course. But then you come back to Tesla. Like, Tesla has been kind of weird with the numbers when it comes to solar roof. Like, we remember just a few months ago when they said, we are making 1,000 solar roof per week now. And that was based on 4 megawatts of production of solar roof, which would mean 4 kilowatt solar roof to make 1,000. And I don't think I've seen a 4 kilowatt installation yet. I think the lower I've seen, I think maybe like 6 kilowatt or something like that. So they're really like playing with the numbers to claim that. But AAA installation, we know that they've been hiding a lot of roofers, and they still are hiring a ton of roofers. Like, if you know anyone in the roofing business, they're also hiding third-party contractors. Like, they are making deals with roofing companies to offer the solar roof as a product. So that's probably going to accelerate installation, because I'm sure that even though I don't agree with the 1,000 roof per week of production with 4 megawatt of solar roof production, I'm sure that's a lot more than Tesla is able to install in a week. Also, over 13 weeks, like 4 megawatts is a lot more than 27 megawatt, and that 27 megawatt also includes the solar panels installation. So I would expect, but when it comes to solar panels, they revamped the whole business over the last quarter, and I think we're going to see the impact of that in this quarter specifically. So I would look for a big increase in solar deployment in Q3, and maybe an even bigger one in Q4. We'll see. Solar. That's the last one here for the call. Two big things that Elon, I feel, emphasized in the call that you have to take out of the call is Elon wants more nickel and more employees for Tesla. Like,
if he had a nickel for every good employee.
So yeah, Elon identified nickel as the raw material that they need the most to increase production in order to achieve their battery supply goals. He's not too worried about lithium. I guess because like lithium, like because it's in the name, like a lot of people like focused on it and everything. And there's actually a lot of new lithium capacity coming out now that it shouldn't be a bigger problem. Also in weight, it's much lower quantity inside of a battery than nickel. So he made a plea basically to a nickel producing company to make more. I think he suspects that some companies are limiting their production in order to create more supply constraint and boost up the price, which is of course something that happens all the time in the mining industry. But Elon made a plea with those companies, like, just make efficient. Instead of looking for higher prices, make your production more efficient. And
maybe get more players involved as well, so that the players that are in now trying to boost the prices get kind of squeezed.
Yeah, I mean, if I was Tesla, I'd make like smaller bets on junior mining company with large deposits that would take a while for them to get to their production capacity. But if you do that, even though like you won't see the result of that for years to come, what you do is you light a fire under the bigger mining companies' ass. Like if they see giant new source of the material coming up in production in the next few years, they're going to try to increase their own in order to take advantage of it before that capacity comes online. So if you do a few deals like that, and then you can get your big contracts to the big players like the Glencore of this world and whatnot, but also help a few junior companies here and then, that would be probably a good approach. And then the other thing is like people. That was emphasized by Elon, that was emphasized by Drew Baglino, the SVP of engineer, and by Jerome too. Jerome was like, yeah, I need people in my organization. I mean, Jerome is in charge of a lot of the manufacturing, of course. And Tesla, I mean, it's hard to overstate right now the kind of hiring that Tesla's going to do in the next year or two. I mean, between Berlin, which apparently is now like 10,000 people, growing Shanghai with Model Y production and everything, then Austin's going to hire like, I don't know, like 10,000 people probably over the next 10 years. Then they already have thousands of jobs open for all their facilities all over the world. The solar installers, like the big need for that from Tesla, and so they like they want to attract people. And I mean, Tesla has always been good at that, but I think they see it coming now that the need is just getting greater and greater, and the difficulty is going to be harder and harder.
Also, they've burned through quite a few people. Like some people have gone there and then left, and maybe their experience wasn't the best. Tesla pushes people pretty hard. I wonder if that's a concern at all, that they've already gone through a big portion of the, not a big portion, but a little portion of the engineering community, a little portion of the installer community, etc.
That's definitely fair. However, where I'm hopeful for Tesla on that front is the younger generation. They are growing up seeing Tesla as like the company to work for, like the mission-driven company, and they are inspired by it and everything, inspired by Elon. So I think they're gonna, like, people coming out of school right now and everything. I like a lot of them. They like, if you ask kids in engineering school and everything right now, and you ask them what's the top 3 companies to work for, I think a lot of them are going to say Tesla.
Oh, sure.
So I think that will help them, and that will also make it more competitive and everything. But yeah, I mean, you're definitely right, though, that Tesla works through people like hell. That's why the number one question they ask people is like, how passionate are you about Tesla's mission to accelerate the advent of renewable energy? Because they feel like if someone is passionate enough, then they are going to be willing to be put to the grinder a little bit more.
Yeah, but I also wonder, like, so with Tesla, being on the verge of bankruptcy or whatever, that's a little bit more like you feel a little bit more inclined to work the extra hours, do the extra work, etc. But now that they're worth tons of money, Elon's getting these huge tranche payouts, and he's putting in 50% of his time at most into Tesla. As a worker there, you got to be kind of like, hey, I'm working overtime here. I love the mission, but like, why is Elon getting all the money? And why am I getting hammered when the company's worth so much money and all this stuff? Yeah, I wonder if that's going to come into play in the coming months and years ahead.
I mean, I completely agree with you on that. Like, I've been hammering on the fact that I think Elon is pushing hard his employees, but he's not treating them well that much. Like, I mean, when he suspended the bonus, like he suspended the bonus over the last quarter for suspended the bonuses for everyone, and then they still deliver a record quarter for him, and he didn't cash in his tranche, but he did obviously get his tranche last quarter in May. He got his tranche for his first tranche of the stock compensation plan. So for him, the CEO compensation plan wasn't frozen, wasn't during that quarter. So that I don't like things like that. I'm like, all right. I know he doesn't get a salary and everything, so he wasn't impacted by the salary cuts and everything, but I don't know. It doesn't sit well for me. All right, let's quick in my road trip review. I posted that earlier this week. Last weekend, I went to Sonoma to test drive the Model Y and go on a little wine country retreat, all while doing the social distancing and everything. We're a mask in public all the time, sanitizer and everything. I was safe. Don't worry about it.
What about the people in the car? Do you trust them all?
Well, yeah, we were all staying in the same place and everything. So we were. It was two couples basically. We're two couples and.
And you trust the other couple?
Yeah, we trusted the other couple. They also do distancing and everything. So yeah, it was a great experience. The car itself was looking very good. There were two issues at deliveries that we've been reporting, of course, on the quality issues with the Model Y, and there's quite a few, and this one was no exception. The owner told me there was two problems with the car. Big scratch on the back seat. Tesla had to replace the back seat, and also the trunk, which still had the problems. It wasn't aligned correctly, and when it was closing, sometimes the sensor didn't detect it as closing. You have to press on it a little bit. Apparently, they were going to fix that. But other than that, the car looked great, as you can see right here. And really, just a great road trip car. Like it's, I don't call it an SUV, and people compact SUV, whatever you want to call it. I mean, coming from a Model 3 owner, that was a much better road trip experience than I could have in the Model 3 because we were full adults. Two of them, of course, sitting in the back seat, felt comfortable with it, and with baggages for 4 people. Like this was our baggages for the weekend, and everything fit in the trunk. We didn't even have to use the tub underneath the flooring of the trunk, nor the front either. So plenty of space. As for the driving experience, it was my first time driving the car, the Model Y, and it was the long-range dual motor version. So, of course, coming from a Model 3 performance owner, it felt a little bit underpowered. But, I mean, for an SUV on a road trip, it was still plenty of power for me. And I had to test it too. So I wanted to do like an efficiency road, like a road trip, like do it like as efficiently as I can, and release the data and everything about the whole trip. But then I screwed the data pretty bad coming back, because going up, very efficient car, I was hitting like 250 watt-hour per mile sometimes, like pretty good results and everything. But then we lost track of time. And we had like 50 minutes to go from Napa to grab our flight in Oakland. And we completely lost track of time. We were on our way back, and we even called the airline, and we were like, so what time do we need to be there so that the door don't close and we can still get back in? And they're like, the door closed at 6:20. If you get there at 6:20, you cannot get on the plane. And the GPS at the time was saying 6:20. So I was like, not looking good. So I had to do some...
So how was the top speed on the Model Y?
I don't know if I can say. I drove
Hypothetically.
Hypothetically, I could have hit in 111 miles per hour, something like that. But I mean, I'm not proud of it, to be honest. Like it's just we lost track of time completely, and then we had to drive pretty fast on the highway, and then we got stuck behind a police car for a while too. Where like we couldn't pass. The police was like, it was an undercover car, but I spotted it right away. It was on the left lane, on the HOV lane, driving slower than everyone. And it was me and the Camaro. We were both driving pretty fast on the highway going toward Oakland. And we both started slowing down at the same time, spotting that car. And we get closer and we get right by it. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a cop. And we all slow down until we could pass, like until we hit traffic and we could go on the right lane and like just sneak around it. And then start driving again. But we made it. And actually, that was kind of a good, like real hard test on the Model Y. And I was really impressed. I mean, that car, it drives very much like a Model 3, even though you're a little bit higher up, bigger car. But the center of gravity is still so low that it's such a fun drive. And Yeah, it really just fixes the issues that people had with the Model 3, which mainly like the trunk opening, and now you have a full hatch.
Right.
There's that. Of course, I tested it in Northern California in July, so I didn't get to get a good look at how much efficient it is if you have the heat pump and everything like that. But I'm sure that would be a big difference for someone like you that lives in the Northeast, and people in Canada is going to probably love it. But I'm really looking forward to next winter. When we get real world experience of people like doing range tests and efficiency tests on that car.
How about getting in and out, like for people with back problems or something? A lot
Yeah,
easier to get in and out?
Yeah, that's something I looked into. I mean, the ground clearance is like an inch more than Model 3, so it's not that big of a difference.
Mhm.
You do feel like you're sitting a little bit higher up, but it's not like a full size SUV experience where you feel like you're looking everyone from 2 stories above. But it is a little bit easier for sure to get in and out. Not a ton easier. Sitting in the back seat, though, way better experience. Like I'm 6 foot tall, and I had plenty of headrooms, no problem with leg rooms. I mean, it's as best as it get, really. Like in terms of execution, I think quality issues aside, of course, like you check your car carefully before delivery and don't hesitate of refusing delivery if you're not satisfied with the car. But other than that, once you do accept delivery, I mean, Tesla executed beautifully on that car, I think. A lot of people are like, it's just a Model 3 that is stretched out a little bit, make it a little bit higher up, given a hatch. I think it's a little bit more. It's definitely that. I mean, and that is a lot on its own. Like I think those differences are big. But to be fair to Tesla, and especially Tesla's design team, there's some subtleties in the design that you have to make to really transition a sedan to SUV or a CUV, whatever you want to call it. And I think they did that beautifully with that car. Like it stands on its own. I mean, it got a ton of looks. We stopped at a winery to do some tasting, and I could see the car from where we were tasting it because it was outside and everything. I could see the car and a bunch of drivers that were driving those wine tours, like they drive like those Sprinter vans and everything. A bunch of them were just like around the car, like for the full hour that we were there, just looking around it for an hour. And then when I came back, like, this is the first Model Y I've seen. Like, this is incredible. Like, is it and everything? Like, and of course, I do like this blue and white combination of it. I think it's very beautiful. I know you get the white interior. What did you get for the exterior?
I got white on white.
White on white.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna like that. I kind of like the chrome delete, and can't really do the chrome delete with the white. So,
well, you have there's no chrome on the white too.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think there
that's
is.
Good enough.
Yeah, it's gonna be a dark, almost like matte black. Speaking of matte, I was scratching my head. I'm like, did they make a different screen for the Model Y? Like the screen felt different, looked different, really? And everything. I'm like, what is that? Like, I'm pretty sure they use the same screen. And then I text the owner, did you do like a special protector screen on it and everything? And he's like, yeah, it's a matte protector screen. Like I have a protector screen on my Model 3, but it's like just a regular one that I bought and everything. That matte one makes a big difference. First of all, the glare on it is more manageable.
Interesting.
And it even feels different for some reason. Like, because
do you know who makes that?
Yeah, you gave me the link. I put the link in the if anyone wants to check on YouTube, I posted a video on it, and also of course there's an article in Electrek. And in the article and in the YouTube video, there's a link to the Amazon on it. And I bought it right away from my Model 3 and shipped it to Canada because my Model 3 is in Canada right now.
Yeah, I might have to get one of those too.
Yeah, and it's game changer. $30, game changer for your car. Well, not for your screen experience. Sorry, at least.
Interesting.
You're still gonna get some glare. Like at one point, I missed my exit because I don't use the voiceover on it, and I had sun directly on the screen. I couldn't see it, but for just like the lighting situation, like being very bright, it tones everything down and it looks better. I liked it a lot. But yeah. Great experience. I stopped at a supercharger station, checked the supercharger capacity of the car. We had about 20% capacity, so even though it was a V3, it couldn't really get to 250, but it got to over 180, like 185 or something like that. And but then of course it tempers down pretty quick.
Right.
But I mean, that's what's great with the supercharger system. Like with a road trip like that, we needed to charge, but also we needed to go to the grocery store for 20 minutes. So we stopped for 20, 25 minutes. And actually, we got more charge than I wanted to because I filmed like a little portion of the video there at the same time. So, but other than that, we could have left earlier, like within 15 minutes, and we'd have been fine with it. So very impressed by it. We're going to come back, of course, with a full review after you get your own.
Yeah, I'm excited now.
Yeah.
Like just listening to you talk about it, I'm like, all right, I can't wait for this.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. And of course, we're gonna wait probably until you put some more mileage in it and get used to it, so you get like a full review, better experience. Then I put probably like 250, 300 miles on it over the weekend, something like that. It's still pretty good, but not that much.
Speaking of that, we should talk about our sponsor real quick. Hey, would you mind bringing up for our YouTube readers, testmat.com?
Yeah.
All right. So Testmat is a mattress and carrying case for Model 3. It's actually kind of a cool product because the carrying case itself can be turned, it's waterproof. It can be turned into a cooler, and it fits in the Model 3 or the Model Y bay area, the area below the trunk. So it's designed specifically for Teslas. It's got a luxurious and incredibly comfortable gel memory foam mattress. I've actually slept on it, and it's pretty much as comfortable as like a camping mattress. I would say even more comfortable than an inflatable mattress. I'm not a big inflatable fan. This is pretty nice. It's 3 individual mats unfolded to form a twin size mattress. So get your twin size mattress sheets, or they have their own sheets. Each individual mattress is 75 by 12.5 by 2 inches thick. The carrying case dimensions are 22 by 14 by 10. The mattress stack to be easily compressed and stored via magnetic strap, which is also kind of cool. The included Testmat carrying case is designed to fit in the sub trunk. So that's the area below the trunk on the Model 3. They also have one for the Model Y. And the cool thing, as I mentioned before, the carrying case is insulated and waterproof. So while you're sleeping you can put the mattress out, maybe even before you leave, and then you can fill up the mattress case with ice and cold stuff. So it acts as like a little refrigerator. Some reasons to camp in your Tesla. It will stay at the perfect preset temperature all night. It's safer than a tent. You don't necessarily want to be going into hotels these days with the pandemic still raging. So that's kind of nice to be in your own car. Tesla has its own security system and cameras. It has a fireplace, built-in lights, music, and movies. You can gaze at the stars through the glass roof. It's obviously cheaper than a hotel. It's a fun adventure and makes road trips more memorable. And the Testmat pays for itself after a night or two, saving from hotel fees. They also have a privacy screen for $55 more. The best part is if you use code Electrek at checkout, ELECTREK, you get $20 off. So go visit testmat.com.
Yes, thanks Testmat for sponsoring Electrek Podcast. All right. While I was on the trip, we just got news that you can now lease the Model Y. That was announced on Sunday, I think. Yep, Sunday. Starting at $499 per month, you can lease the long-range dual-motor Model Y. It's $499 plus. You have to put $4,500 down, and that's for 36 months with an allocation, a mileage allocation of 10,000 miles. So that's now the easiest, less money out of the pocket way to purchase a Model Y. Well, I should say lease a Model Y, not purchase it.
Get into a Model Y.
Yeah, of course. Now the shorts jump on the demand issue because of that. Because of course, Model 3, I think it took like 2 years for Tesla to launch the lease, and now Model Y took 3 months, which is fair. I mean, I'm sure that they want to create more demand with that. But I also think that Model Y production is increasing, and also they are expecting it to increase a lot more. We've been reporting over the last few weeks that Tesla is making a lot of upgrades at Fremont factory, and there's the 4.5 general assembly line that's coming up next to the other one, and that's going to be help Model Y production. Also, there's the GA5 production line coming up inside the factory. So all those things are going to help Tesla increase Model Y production, and they need they need the demand for it, and I think a lease option is going to help that a lot. Speaking of upgrade in Fremont factory, we had an exclusive post this week about another Tesla secret project. So Electrek bought you exclusively the Roadrunner project earlier this year. Now we bring you the Palladium project, which involves the new version of the Model S and Model X coming later this year. Not much is known about the project Palladium because Tesla is keeping everything extremely compartmentalized. So they like all the different sides of the project don't speak together exactly. But we spoke to a few sources that were able to give us at least like a big headlines on the project Palladium. It involves basically everything that has to do with upgrading the Model S and X with new battery modules. So it's going to welcome the new battery modules. I couldn't confirm it with any sources because, again, like I said, everything is extremely compartmentalized. But I think it might be linked to the Roadrunner project, the new module. So it might use the new cells that Tesla is making with Roadrunner with those new modules, Palladium modules. Also, new drive units. Palladium is going to have a new drive unit for Model S and X, and that's going to be the new drive units that can be configured into the Plaid powertrain with a tri-motor configuration. So exciting on that front. But it's more than that, the Palladium. It's not just the Plaid motor and everything. It's gonna one of the sources talked about a Model X, I'm quoting here, Model S and X Palladium body. So it means like there's going to be the Palladium update being made also include a new body. I would assume that has something to do with the Plaid body too, to a degree, because of we've seen the prototype having wider bodies and different air intakes and everything. So there's things that changes here. Though Elon also said that Tesla would simplify that Plaid update, so maybe not as aggressive as we're seeing now. But a lot of updates coming. Why Palladium? Some people said because it sounds like Plaid. I don't know about that. Like Palladium, Plaid, it's not exactly, it's not really the same thing. But anyway, of course, Palladium is a platinum metal that is primary use. I think like 80% of the use of Palladium, something like that, is in catalytic converters for car exhaust. So I thought that might have something to do with it because that's interesting. I mean, most of the metal is being used to clean up exhaust in fossil fuel cars, really. And I feel like Tesla is kind of Palladium for the entire industry. They're like cleaning up the entire industry with their EVs.
I don't know.
No,
maybe.
That's.
I mean, there's so many different things. I actually, now that you say Palladium and Plaid, it does sound a little bit similar. And like, if you're just like, hey, we need to come up with a secret code name for our Plaid stuff, what are we going to call it? I don't know. Palladium. That might be it. I don't know. And then there's all these kind of far out things like the Iron Man stuff. And
the Iron Man. I cannot believe that it would be that though, because I mean, Palladium was literally poisoning Tony Stark. So it was successful to a degree. It did help him like escape Afghanistan or whatever it was that he was being held hostage. But after that, it was starting to poison him. So he had to change his design of his arc reactor not to use Palladium. But yeah, I mean, I asked my sources and they were all like, we don't know who named that shit.
Yeah.
Like the crazy person, probably Elon. We don't know. But yeah, and again, it's so compartmentalized now. But yeah, I have a feeling, and I couldn't confirm it, but I have a feeling that Roadrunner and Palladium would work together, which means the new cells. And that's also, since we've been reporting on Roadrunner, we've been speculating on which vehicle program is going to use the cells first. And I think the front runner, I think everyone agreed that the front runner would be the Model S with the Plaid configuration. And if that's the case, then I think probably the Model X too, since they use the same modules and the same battery pack. In other news, Elon announced that Tesla is going to upgrade the alloy used on the Cybertruck. So when Tesla first announced the Cybertruck, they talked about this exoskeleton being made of ultra hard 30x cold rolled stainless steel.
What do you think they're going to change it to?
Well, they did say that. So Elon mentioned that it would use the same steel used on the Starship spacecraft that SpaceX is building for Mars. So, and we do know that Tesla and SpaceX share a material science team. Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
Material science team. Way back, we reported on Elon personally hiring Charles Kuhlman.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Who was the main guy at Apple for alloy. He was like Apple's alloy guy, the guy that made like the aluminum that Apple made its Apple Watch with, and a bunch of the new aluminum for the iPhone and things like that. Elon hired him and it was like, "You're so good, I want you to make alloys for Tesla and SpaceX." And he built a joint team between the two companies. So he's one of the rare guys that's officially an executive at both SpaceX and Tesla. And the alloy for the Starship apparently evolved. Elon talked about using 34L, but that's like the official alloy that already exists. I think like that's the closest thing they're using, but they're still like modifying and everything. So as they modify that, Elon confirmed that it would also translate to a different alloy for Cybertruck, because I guess they are using. I mean, I think Tesla literally says that they're using. Yeah, if there was something better, we'd use it. So if they do find something better all the way along, they're gonna use that then. But yeah, I think that's not a big issue for Tesla. Like if they do improve their alloy, they're just gonna use that. I think for the Cybertruck and the production capacity of it, they need to do that. They need to really build a new body manufacturing system for this exoskeleton anyway. So whatever they use on top of alloy for that, they need to build a production system behind that. All right, gonna do it really quick now because we're already an hour in here. Tesla sued Rivian. That came out yesterday. It's something that's now looks familiar to us if you've been following Tesla. I mean, it's a lawsuit similar to what Tesla filed against Zoox a few months ago and against Xpeng in China. Maybe the Xpeng is a little bit different. I mean, they claim that the company literally stole the source code of Tesla, but it's the same thing. It's like a company targeting Tesla employees for hires, and then Tesla claims that the company is pushing for them to steal trade secrets. But now they are accusing Rivian of the same thing. And to be honest, it looks bad for Rivian. I mean, I'm always skeptical for that. It looks bad for Rivian in terms of Tesla clearly has proved that the employees that were poached by Rivian did leave with some proprietary information. However, they are suing Rivian too. Like for like Xpeng, for example, they never actually sued Xpeng itself. They sued the employees because they could prove that the employees stole the information, but they couldn't prove that Xpeng was asking them to do so. In this case, they're actually suing Rivian too. So they are saying that Rivian is like actively trying to do that. That I'm not so sure about that. But yeah, they are suing 4 employees, and they said that they're gonna add 2 of them to the mix. 2 of them are Tesla recruiters. And they say that they stole information about like processes on how to do mass recruiting for manufacturing and sales, because of course Rivian is trying to ramp up the production and sells outfits. Then there was a guy that we actually reported on last month. We reported on Rivian hiring heavily from Tesla supercharger team to build their own Rivian Adventure network. So Carrington Bradley was the main guy that was in charge of supercharger that Rivian hired. And now this one is the one that I think Tesla doesn't have that much of a case against, because they only claim that he sent himself a list of employees that he felt were important to the team. I mean, that's not proprietary information. I feel like I don't even know why he wrote that. He sent himself an email with that list. I mean, did you need to do that? Like, who's important on the team. You just and we know that happens all the time. Like, so company hires you and everything, especially a new startup that's trying to build.
Is that even considered proprietary information? It's a list of people. Like,
it's a list of. I know that there's some restriction about like poaching employees yourself, but I think that's mainly poaching or you still work for them. Like if you know that you accepted a new a contract at another automaker, an employment contract, and then you start recruiting at your current employers, even though you know that you're switching. That I think that's bad. But if he's just like, when I do start looking for more employees at my new position, I should these people are probably the one that I want. Like that's not like, I don't know. That's a weird way to put it. But yeah, the two recruiting employees, that's like actual processes that Tesla uses to mass hire people. That's important. And the last one is also very important, in my opinion. It's the EHS employee that apparently downloaded a bunch of documents that were relating to manufacturing projects at Tesla that she didn't really need. So that one looks pretty bad. And also, like, what look even worse is that Tesla tried to work with her to remove the documents from her cloud when she got caught. And she shared her phone or her laptop. And as she was sharing the phone or laptop, they asked for, okay, search for Tesla in that file or something. And then the documents all brought up. And then she stopped the screen sharing as the documents were brought up or something like that. Of course, we say that that's all from the lawsuit. If you want to read the lawsuit, it's right. We posted on Electrek. It's very entertaining, but it's one side of the story. We got a comment from Rivian that obviously denies the whole thing, denies being involved, and like they say that they always, as part of the recruitment process, they require all employees to confirm that they have not and will not introduce former employers' intellectual property into Rivian system. The lawsuit's allegations are baseless and run counter Rivian's culture and ethos. I mean, that's a wide statement there. The allegations are baseless. I mean, Tesla looked like they had proof of a lot of things in there, so I wouldn't say completely baseless. But I think they don't have much proof though that Rivian is behind what those employees' action though. So I would be careful about that. I mean, because you can see here a thought process that would go behind an employee, even without being pushed by Rivian. They're going, all right, my new job, like the first of the EHS girl, she was a manager in EHS at Tesla, and now she's gonna be the director of EHS at Rivian. So she's gonna have to build up the EHS team at Rivian. It makes sense that that's gonna be a lot of trouble. Maybe I can just download a bunch of things at Tesla, change a few words here and there, and now I'll have all my processes for Rivian thing. So you can see for like where the process would come from without Rivian really pushing for it. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, the closest thing that happened to that is the Zoox lawsuit, which was the same thing, but for a bunch of logistics employees at Tesla. And Zoox ended up settling that lawsuit and paying Tesla off and doing an audit of their system so they can purge all the information from Tesla. So like Tesla has some experience winning on that front. So Rivian, I'd be careful for that.
Any coincidence that Jeff Bezos is involved in both of these organizations?
Hey, that's a good call here, Seth. They are involved in both. However, they purchased Zoox after the lawsuit was settled and everything. But I would assume that Amazon was already in discussion with Zoox when the lawsuit was ongoing, and that might be something that Amazon was like, take care of that before we do the purchase.
Right.
Like, and that would have pushed, because of course that's always
a settlement.
Yeah, that's always something when there's an acquisition. Like they look at all ongoing litigation, and they're like, normally they push for that to be resolved before any acquisition. This week we had an exclusive look at the Cadillac user interface and screen inside the Lyriq, which is going to be that's a sedan. Is it a sedan or is that the SUV?
It's like a Model Y type of thing.
Oh yeah, okay, like a crossover. All right. So apparently it's going to have a big 3-footer of display in there.
Yeah, I mean it's not a that's rectangle. It's kind of a long, skinny, kind of like the Porsche display or displays, I guess, on a Porsche, where it's kind of just goes right across. So I will say, like, I have seen the Lyriq interior display, and the car itself. The outside is kind of like what you would expect. It looks really nice. It's Cadillac. It's a SUV, but the inside It's surprisingly not Cadillac-y. So what I mean by Cadillac-y is like lots of knobs and buttons and wood grained everything. It's not like that at all. It's really high tech. It's a really good vision. And the whole interior, like it's got 4 bucket seats instead of having like a bench in the back. Each person is going to have like a nice like a display at their in front of them. There's no like barrier between the back seats and the trunk area, which I found pretty cool. So I think Cadillac has done a good job, and the display is probably the focal point of that.
Nice. Yeah, I think Bradley wrote a post compare it to the Escalade here.
Yeah, it's similar to that.
It's similar. It's just that it's one big one instead of.
Yeah, I mean the display is obviously there's no gear shifter, and but it does look a little bit like that.
Finally, we just learned that this morning. Rivian sent that out to reservation holders.
Not good news.
Yeah, not good news. They updated the timeline for the R1T and R1S. So they already confirmed that they would delay it into 2021 earlier this year. The excuse was the pandemic, of course. And but they didn't say exactly when in 2021. And a lot of us were expecting, all right, probably early 2021 because the pandemic couldn't have pushed it that much. I think the factory was not working. They weren't working on the factory for like a month or two. So we thought it went like from late 2020 to early 2021. But they actually updated it here. And the R1T, so that's the pickup, is coming in June 2021. And the R1S is coming even later in August 2021. So yeah, that's a little bit later than I thought it would be.
Kind of brushing up against Cybertruck if Cybertruck actually was coming out at that point.
Yeah, if it does, Matt. Can you imagine if everyone is on time from now on? How crazy the second half of 2021 will be? 2021 with the with the GM, Ford, Tesla, Rivian, all coming up at the same time with their own electric pickup trucks. It's gonna be madness.
Who's gonna be first?
I mean, technically, I think if they do come in June, they would be first, I think. But, I mean, who knows at this point, I think. Right. I'm sure there's going to be other delays, not necessarily with Rivian, but with like other automakers too. So it's exciting stuff, though. Yeah, I don't think the closest thing is probably the CUV segment that we're saying right now being electrified super quickly with the Model Y, with the Mach-E, with the Audi A4, with the Kona, with all those cars. But I think that's going to be an even faster deployment here with electric pickup trucks at the end of 2021 with Ford, GM, Tesla, and Rivian at the same time. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah. All right. Should we go quickly to the comments?
Yes, let's get the feedback.
All right. So Boating Dave 1 says, hey, could you guys comment on the Tesla Google Map software and how it compares to Waze, which of course is owned by Google? I don't use Waze, so I'm not a good person. Do you use Waze at all?
I only use Waze if I know I have, like, for example, we used it
for the
last weekend when we needed to go back just to see if there's no cop on the road ahead and everything like that. Other than that, I think for traffic now, Google Map I think is just as good, if not like it's the same thing. They use the same data, if I'm understanding. So
right, they do.
I use it direct. I use the navigation directly on Tesla's car, and I don't add Waze. I know that there are services that like you can put up Waze on a web version of Waze on their car directly through the web browser. But cool. I never felt the need to do that, honestly. Like, yeah.
Me personally, I use Teslas almost exclusively, but if I'm going somewhere new or weird and Teslas gives me a strange direction or something that I don't trust exactly, I'll double check with Google, and sometimes Google will have a better way to get there faster or whatever. Mm-hmm. So that's our experience there. Luke Miller, hi. Any more information on the rumor that the Model 3 will get the heat pump? Do I hold off on Model 3 SR order? I will need it in Montreal. Oh, it's a neighbor.
Fellow Montrealer is here, Luke Miller. I think the rumor is referencing too. I saw it earlier this week, but it was literally just a guy on Twitter saying the heat pump will eventually get to the Model 3 with no timeline whatsoever. So I mean, like that's not a great rumor really, because of course the Model 3 will get the heat pump at some point, but unfortunately for you right now, we don't have a clear timeline on that. Yeah, I agree though that I agree with you. That's kind of a deal breaker, knowing that it's coming, and especially if you're in the Northeast like that in Montreal. Like it's gonna make a big difference, I think, on the efficiency.
All right. So
yeah, probably hold up.
Yeah. Andy Tower says, any info or commentary on Texas dealer requirement changing now that the Austin factory is go? I haven't heard anything. Have you?
No, and I think that's the whole problem with just the legislation in Texas being super slow, and it's gonna be a fight too, because it's just gonna be a bunch of people that are being paid by the dealership. They're gonna want to back the dealerships anyway. But yeah, we're gonna wait until the next legislative session, which might be next year. I think might be done for the year or something like that. So it might be a while until we see anything on that front.
Jeffrey Gardner asked a question that always is kind of in the back of my mind, although not so much lately. Silly hypothetical question: if Tesla were to ever completely go under, and of course this is highly unlikely, would their vehicles essentially become massive paperweights shortly thereafter? I think they would have to. It would be good for Tesla to have some sort of like contingency plan where the cars don't go under, don't stop working or whatever. They won't get any more updates, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, what wouldn't work really?
Well, the navigate the.
But that you can put your own SIM card, I guess, to a degree.
Right.
You can get your own internet service on the car, so I don't know what wouldn't work.
Yeah, they would just kind of be locked at wherever.
Yeah, there wouldn't be any software upgrade, of course. I don't think it would be paperweight per se.
Yeah. It seems that compared to internal combustion engine vehicles, so much of Tesla vehicle ownership is dependent on the company thriving. So that's part of that question. Sorry.
Yeah.
Let me just cycle through these here.
Yeah, I think they're just talking to each other.
Yeah. Let me try to get down here. Considering that there was 1 year between the release of Powerwall 1 and 2 and 4 years since the release of Powerwall 2, do you think that Powerwall 3 will be announced on Battery Day? That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, but I wouldn't say that's impossible. That would make sense. I mean,
what would they improve, I guess? What would we be looking forward to? Obviously, the batteries could last longer.
The Powerwall is already the market leader, but Tesla is known to not be a kind of company that sits on its lead. They always want to innovate, and yeah, if they have a battery improvement, they can go in there. They can keep basically the exact same modules, but if with slightly better batteries in there, and get like from even if it's just 14 kilowatt hour to 16 and like 5 kilowatt output to 6 kilowatt output, that just that little difference like that help the economics of it. Or if they can make it cheaper, big difference too.
Yeah, so that kind of answers what kind of specs and innovation might be included in the next gen Powerwall 3, as soon as it uses million-mile battery tech. I mean, million-mile means that you can probably charge it and discharge it for...
Can increase the warranty of it, basically.
Right. And theoretically, price could come down per kilowatt hour.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. So Brad Sloan's talking about Austin. Dirt is being moved just south of Harold Green Road next to Highway 130. Started last Friday.
Hey, Brad, if you're in Austin,
send us some pictures.
Send us some picture, man. We'll take a look.
Maybe we'll get you a drone. Drone out there.
If your pictures are good, we're gonna pay you in drones.
I'll get you a Mavic. How can one apply for Gigafactory Austin? I'm sure Tesla.com.
Yeah, I'm sure that if you look on the career page right now, slowly you're gonna start seeing some position coming up, but the bulk of it's gonna probably next year. They're gonna open up the positions.
Michael Valicella says, I wonder if the changes to the Y in Berlin is finally the change in wiring and more casting.
Casting for sure. Casting they confirm. Wiring, I don't think they confirm yet, but yeah, we were hoping that would be in the first version of Model Y and then maybe the second one.
Solar roof in Nevada. I haven't seen pictures of it recently, but I think
they mean the solar roof, like panels or actual solar roof.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe they build the actual tiles.
Oh yeah, right. By the way, I got a lot of tip about that, about like satellite images showing that Tesla was doing work on the roof of the Gigafactory
In Nevada.
But I got confirmation from sources that the roof was falling apart and they needed to redo it. It's nothing to do with expansions. I think.
I just heard that Rivian is being sued by Tesla. Okay, so
yeah, we went to that. Yeah. Oh yeah, in terms of the employees, I guess we can give you the numbers because Tesla released the numbers of employees that that came from that went to Rivian. It's not trivial. Tesla counted 178 former Tesla employees that went to Rivian, including 70 that went directly from Tesla to Rivian. So some of them, there was a gap between. But
I mean, it's not surprising. Like, they're two biggest future EV makers out there, startups.
Well, I'm more surprised is that a lot of people are going to move. I mean, I know they have some offices in Northern California, but I think in California it's mostly in Irvine they are at.
Right, and you're moving.
And then in Illinois and Michigan, which maybe not. That's a bigger move to do.
Yeah. So Gao Raponzi says, "I'm sure Elon is not the only one testing alpha build of full self-driving," and that's in regard to our comments on.
Yeah.
But Tesla employees are in generally one special area, and they're not putting the alpha build out to non-employees, even early adopters. So you're getting these groups of people in certain areas. That was the point. California roads are different than East Coast roads. That's kind of what we were talking about earlier. Drone footage on a regular basis. Somebody in Austin, if they really need a drone, I think we can get your hands on one. So
in exchange for regular updates.
Yeah,
that would be a deal I would be willing to make. Although you would probably have to check with their local regulations there, because I know it's not too far.
Close to the airport, right?
Yeah, it's not too far from the airport. But at the same time, it's not too far. It's still miles and miles away. But I don't know what are the restrictions there. If you fly low,
right?
I had someone send me pictures today, but they you cannot see much of it.
Gokul Ponzi, do you know if Tesla has already solved all the initial quality issues with the Model Y? I've heard good things the last rounds, but I will report back next week on what mine looks like.
Yeah.
All right, we're getting close. Seth, good on you for standing your ground. I had similar customer service issues with my solar. Afraid Tesla CS will be like AT&T or Comcast in the end. Actually, I had nothing to lose. Charging me $8,000 now or $8,000 before the next price increase. I'm not getting anything with the full self-driving, so it really wasn't a hard decision to make. Many Canadian nickels are worth more than the nickel than Canadian 5 cents. So maybe Tesla will just buy a lot of Canadian nickels, 5 cents each. Elon is getting a lot of money because he took all the risk and invested everything he had into Tesla and SpaceX. That's why. Okay.
But that's not my point. I'm saying is he did take a lot of risk. He didn't make a lot of money or anything, but now it's new money. That's technically it's its salary to a degree. It's bonus based, of course, but it's his salary, and everybody else got a bonus cut. So that's what I'm talking. Let's be fair with everyone.
Polymet is trying to open a copper nickel mine here in Minnesota, but have been struggling for approvals for a few years. You got to make sure you got clean stuff. But maybe Fred, we should do some research into finding good nickel companies to.
I've started that already. I started that. It's going to take me a while to do my due diligence.
All right, we're pretty close to the end here. Why do we still have coins? We all hate coins. Boundary waters is the concern for the nickel plant, which is Boundary Waters is a nice clean area. All right, I think we're pretty close to the end here. All right, one last one. I had a TV cameraman told me yesterday that drones have been banned the last 2 months. I haven't heard that anywhere except from the cameraman.
Yeah, that's the same guy that told us about the dirt being moved.
Yeah.
So he's from Austin, yeah.
All right. That is it.
All right. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks to Tesla Matt for sponsoring this episode of the Electrek Podcast. You can subscribe on YouTube. We have more videos coming soon, and the podcast is also available on YouTube every week. You have my new Model Y video that you can check out too if you want more thoughts on my experience with the car this weekend. Then thanks a lot for listening on your podcast app. You can give us a subscribe there too. That's always appreciated. You can give us a review with 5 stars. That's also help us grow a lot. So we always appreciate that. We're going to see you same place, same time next week. Have a good one, guys.